The Globsyn group of companies, promoter director of Pertec Computers Limited, PCL. He's joining us from Kolkata. And Subrata Bagchi is vice chairman of software giant Mindtree. Okay, let's start with you, Mr. Bagchi. Given the kind of support and ovation that Obama gets every time he talks about outsourcing and how he's going to stop the shipping of jobs out of America, it's quite clear this is going to have a viral effect. What should we do about this, or should we do nothing at all?
Well, I think it's a very dangerous rhetoric, and it is very unfortunate that without fixing the fundamental problems with the U.S. economy, the administration out there is choosing to create a whipping boy out of the Indian IT outsourcing industry. And I think we need to stand up, and we need to make our voice felt, both as an industry as well as through the government. Because, as you rightly said, it is going to be viral, because I think people are forgetting that we buy Boeing planes, that our children eat McDonald's burgers, we wear Levi's jeans, and, in major government purchases, we buy IBM equipment. So the question before us is that if this kind of rhetoric is not contained, then it can even start misleading people on the ground here. And it doesn't help. At the end of the day, on one hand, the U.S. administration says that we are strategic as the largest democracy in the world, that we should have closer economic ties. And on the other hand, we completely give different signals. And that's rather unfortunate. And we must, from both sides, try and contain this.
Are we doing enough, Mr. Bagchi, politically? Because politically there hasn't been a loud protest enough yet, and maybe we are wasting time.
Yeah, but as a country, we are not the kind that we match decibel for decibel. And if you look at India's style, we are a less reacting country, and we try and watch, and we expect emotions to die down, and that's been the case in whatever point in time we have been hurt by any external force whatsoever. And I'm not saying this is the position of hurt here, but when there has been any solid hurt, even then we have acted with caution, we have under-responded, and but I think that time is up, and we need to speak up. We need to make our voice heard.
Absolutely. Let me go to Mr. Dasgupta. Mr. Dasgupta, argument is, and it's suddenly coming up, last couple of months, that these are good, high-paying, high-quality American jobs that are going to lower-wage, low-quality workers in India. And everybody in America is buying that. Politically they may not be right. How are you viewing this stereotyping?
I think this whole thing is, what is happening is, as Subrata said very rightly, is a rhetoric. With the November elections coming in the U.S. and with the Democrats are under pressure, this is one way of coming to balance with the power in that country. However, having said that, I think it's extremely important to, again, I agree with Subrata that we should raise our voice politically, as you mentioned, very strongly into this situation so that it can be nipped in the bud. This is ridiculous, because in a global economy, you don't decide in this manner. You don't work in this manner. You don't, when you go to a shop, you don't tell yourself what you're buying. You buy what you want to buy, and you service what you want to service. The best quality at the best price. So that's the way the global world works, and that's the way America has worked so far. So I think it's completely out of place in terms of making this rhetoric, and it doesn't make sense. But having said that, I still repeat that we must take it up extremely strongly to say, and Obama is visiting India in November, to say that this is just not going to cut any ice with us. I mean, once we take that strong position, I think it should work out. This logic about high paid and low paid, and we have some work getting passed on, we can analyze these things. We can say whether we have moved up the value chain or we haven't moved up the value chain. But these, I don't think they are the issue. to me, it's a political issue, and it has to be dealt with very strongly.
You know, one conspiracy theory, probably true, is that China is behind all this because China is putting a huge amount of investment in jobs that are due to do with outsourcing. But I have Swaminathan Iyer, and I got the line back with him from Washington. Swami, you probably heard this debate that's going on in America about outsourcing, and it's having a ripple effect here. The Indian government says it's worried. How are you viewing it, and how should we respond? Oh, I don't think I have Swami back yet. But let me ask you that question. Suppose we were to decide, Mr. Bagchi, that we are going to react, we are going to respond. How do we respond in terms of also being protectionist in a way that will hurt America? Oh, I don't have the line with Mr. Bagchi either. Let me get your views on that, Bikram. If we were to respond, how do you think is the best way to do that? Suggest options.
I think we have an excellent opportunity with the American president visiting us in November, and I'm sure the agendas of what they're going to discuss here is getting drawn out, and software is one of the areas where Indian economy has really done well over years. It's a very important foreign exchange earner for the country as a whole. So I think the agenda can get created in the political levels right now, right beginning now. And in fact, I would like to believe that this is a good occasion for us to start this agenda now before the president of US comes into this country and do some level playing exercise. Because, you know, Arnab, given the situation, they cannot, it's not that easy. We are doing close to $50 billion worth of software export, and about 60-70% is from US. It's not easy to control that because it's all pervasive. It goes along many companies and many states in America. It's not just to say that I'm going to stop it and it's going to stop. No, so I think political approach is the right approach to take.
No, the language that Americans understand, and Mr. Bagchi, having dealt with them for a long time, probably knows well, is straight talk. So suppose we were to tell the Americans, Mr. Bagchi,
exactly,
that we are going to hurt you right back, where should we start? Suppose it's going to be a boxing round, Mr. Bagchi, where should we start?
No, I think we need to actually, at an interministerial level, prior to President Obama's visit, make the communication clear that this is no way of, lacing the events prior to the president coming on his very first visit to India. This is actually beginning to amount like bad press, which is avoidable and doesn't make sense at all. Let's look at the issues here. We are naive in believing that the economic problems that the United States is having on its plate can be solved by political rhetoric. It doesn't work that way. During 70s and 80s, when India was truly a developing country, for every ill inside here, we used to blame the so-called foreign hand. We have outgrown that. And look at a developed country like the United States with educated people at the helms of affairs who are trying to trivialize the issue of the economic slowdown in that country by talking about outsourcing. So it just doesn't make sense. So I think we need to communicate to the US administration prior to President's visit here that it is not going to help.
Right. Bikram, you were saying something that I could see you nodding your head. In agreement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this has to be dealt politically, and as Subrata says, that this is pure rhetoric. I mean, and we have to deal rhetoric through the political system.
Okay. Swaminathan Iyer is with us now from Washington. Swami, how should we respond to the outsourcing rhetoric and the action that's being taken in America?
Look, you can make an argument, but the fact is that at a time when unemployment is such a serious problem that Obama is in danger of losing both the houses of Congress, there are going to be occasional protectionist gestures of this kind. This is a very limited gesture. It will only have a limited amount of impact because the amount of government contracts we have is not very much. I would say let's not make too big a deal out of this. It is an impediment. It is a limited impediment. But the really big picture is a different one. The truth is that under the WTO, there is an agreement on government procurement. And all the signatories who signed that particular agreement, they cannot be kept out of government procurement. India has refused to sign that agreement, although the USA is there. So if India agrees to sign that agreement, the USA will not be able to keep us out of government contracts. Why have we not signed the agreement? I'm afraid because we are complete crooks. Government makes so much, I mean, there are so many kickbacks in the system. We make so much money that we don't want to have a system say, look, for all government procurement, there will be international bidding and there will be no fixing. If we agree to international bidding for all government procurement, the United States will have to be open to Indians bidding for their procurement. That, to me, is the ideal answer.
So you're saying, Swami, that this whole free trade agreement, borderless world agreement, open competition agreement, you don't think all of that works? Because we have Subroto Bagchi and Bikram Dasgupta of Globsyn with us, who have very strong views on that. But you don't believe that's going to hold any water, that really is an argument we can push?
I don't think this will carry water. In the first place, there is also some argument as to even if there is an issue of government procurement or what's allowed, is an individual state government bound by what the federal government does? That I am not 100% sure of how it will go. I am told by one source that it has not been tested up to the Supreme Court level in the USA either.
Yes, Subroto Bagchi, you wanted to respond to Swami.
Yes, actually, Mr. Swami, the issue is not even the government contracts, and it's not an issue of Indian contract and Indian agreement versus the WTO and what these folks have. Because the truth is that there's minuscule government work we do as an industry. What this rhetoric is doing is that it is creating a certain amount of hate psychosis. It is building an anti-Indian feeling, and we have seen of late a rise in treatment meted out to Indians arriving in U.S. ports of entry and so on and so forth. So what happens is when the Ohio governor talks like this and President Obama goes and is seen to be supporting, the issue is not even U.S. government contract. The issue is that the Indian IT industry is seen as the root cause of all evil, and as if it was not the Indian IT industry, then all would have been well with the American economy. The common man does not understand the nuances.
That's the simplistic argument being put.
The common government official.
Yeah, that's the simplistic argument, Swami, that's being put out there. Eventually, what happened in Ohio? Why did this happen in Ohio? It's because $11 million were used out of a federal stimulus-funded program to outsource work to El Salvador, not to India. So when that came to light, all outsourcing was stopped all across Ohio. That's prompted Obama to say this. So this has nothing to do with India, but it's India which is going to get punished the most, Swami.
No, you're absolutely right. That it is not as though any of these protectionist actions are specifically anti-India, but they are intended to respond to the huge anger in the United States at this very high level of unemployment, which is greatly damaging the electoral chances in the congressional elections of the Democratic Party. I mean, let's be clear, there is a huge political imperative out here which is being followed. I'm merely saying the impact is going to be limited. Politics being what it is, this is not going to get reversed. Had the impact been very large, I would have been really worried. Given that the impact is limited, I say, well, this is the kind of thing that governments do. You will find in India itself, there is a huge amount of protest allowing things in from China. There's the moment a large amount of imports come, we put anti-dumping suits. India has now become #1 in the whole world in putting anti-dumping suits. So, I'm merely saying that while we would like to have free trade, we are not having it both ways. And in this particular time of great tribulation for Barack Obama, we will have to live with some of these small protectionist measures.
Well, this entire issue is cascading. I mean, at the end of the day, you can stop the export of services. You cannot stop the import of Chinese goods. Hence, the general feeling is, Swami, here in India, that Obama is looking for a really, really teddy bear soft target. And he has found that soft target